Billionaire discovers amazing maid who revealed a life-changing secret, transforming his cripple. Elijah Kensington stared out at the vast expanse of his manicured estate, the sprawling lawn shimmering under the sun. His wheelchair clattered slightly as he adjusted himself, but it offered no comfort. Once vibrant and dynamic, his life had transformed into a bland existence, a gilded cage where money couldn't buy happiness. His mansion, filled with every luxury he could imagine, felt eerily silent. The laughter of guests had long since faded, replaced by a haunting emptiness that echoed in the halls. Then Maria entered his life, a spirited maid with laughter like a summer breeze. At first, Elijah dismissed her as just another employee, her bright eyes and infectious smile merely background noise to his somber reality. But beneath her humility lay a strength he couldn't ignore. Every day, as she whirled through the mansion, dusting and tidying, there was something about the way she went about her work that stirred something deep within him. "Mr. Kensington," she said one morning, her voice ringing like a bell, "you should come outside more. The sun is beautiful today." Her smile was contagious, and for a brief moment, Elijah felt a flicker of warmth. It was a reminder of gentler times, of days filled with laughter and light. But the shadows of his past, the accident that left him wheelchair-bound, loomed large in his mind. It was easier to hide away, even amidst opulence, than expose himself to the world's judgment. Maria, with her unwavering spirit, began to chip at the fortress Elijah built around his heart. She spoke about her family, her dreams of becoming a singer, and the sacrifices she made to support her ailing mother. Each word was infused with hope and resilience, a stark contrast to the stark, lonely life Elijah had molded for himself. He felt the emotional barricades he had so carefully constructed begin to crack. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Their friendship blossomed, but with it came the whispers of his elite circles. Inviting Maria into his world felt like swimming against the tide. Elijah's peers eyed her with disdain, judging her as beneath him, reminding him of his status. He found himself torn, poised between a precious connection and the suffocating weight of societal expectations. Then came the charity gala, an event that shimmered with opulence but felt encased in ice. As Maria arrived by his side, her vibrant spirit breaking the cold air, he faced a whirlwind of scornful stares. In that moment, he realized something profound. Would he succumb to the pressures that sought to dictate his worth based solely on status, or would he embrace the authenticity that Maria represented? He felt a shiver of courage running down his spine as their eyes locked. The choice loomed large, potent with possibility. Could he break free from this gilded cage, or would he remain trapped in a world that valued only wealth and position? Elijah felt his heart race as Maria smiled back at him, her vibrant energy lighting up the dim hall of the gala. Around them, whispers floated like haunting ghosts, each syllable a reminder of what they thought he should be. But in Maria's presence, his insecurities felt small, almost trivial. As he caught his breath, the weight of the room faded slightly, replaced by the thrill of something new, a possibility. "Let's just enjoy tonight," Maria said, glancing at the sparkling chandelier overhead. Her enthusiasm was infectious, yet Elijah couldn't shake the unease curling in his stomach. What if they made a scene? What if someone confronted him about his choice? The voices in his mind battled fiercely against the warmth Maria ushered in. As the evening unfolded, the lights dimmed, casting a golden hue around the attendees. Musicians began to play, and the dance floor beckoned, filled with laughter and twirling forms, a stark contrast to the quiet solitude of Elijah's life. For the first time in ages, he felt an urge to join, to feel the music course through him. Could he really dance again? Maria looked at him, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Come on, Mr. Kensington, just one dance." He hesitated, but the gleam in her eyes was persuasive. Adjusting his grip on the wheels of his chair, he nodded, a hint of excitement creeping in. She held her hand out, and he took it. The floor felt electric as they pushed through the crowd, all eyes on them. A blend of admiration and judgment. As the music flowed, Maria twirled around him, pulling him into an infectious rhythm. He couldn't help but laugh, her carefree spirit clashing beautifully with the stuffiness around them. He swayed awkwardly in his chair, but Maria's vibrant laughter encouraged him to let go of his tight grip on reality. This felt right. Their moment was interrupted by a sudden shift in energy. A prominent socialite, dressed in an elegant gown, approached, her expression a mix of disdain and disbelief. "Elijah, is this really appropriate? You know this is not exactly your type. You could have anyone here," she remarked, the venom in her tone unmistakable. Elijah's heart sank, but before he could respond, Maria stepped forward, unfazed. "I'm not here to fit a mold. I'm here for Elijah, who deserves joy just like anyone else." Her voice was steady, cutting through the tension like a blade. The crowd's murmurs shifted, uncertainty weaving through their thoughts that a profound silence fell between them. Elijah looked at her, pride swelling in his chest. Maria, with her unwavering conviction, had done what he could not. She stood tall, shedding her self-doubt as if it were an old cloak. This was a woman who believed in love, not status, who valued authenticity over appearances. "What are you doing, Elijah?" he thought to himself. Did he truly want to cower beneath the weight of society's expectations? A quiet determination began to rise within him. The moment felt like a crossroads. "Let us go for a real dance," he said, surprising himself. He gripped the wheels, steering his chair forward, embracing the challenge. As Maria beamed at him, the strangers around began to part, and the music swelled to a crescendo. He was taking the first step, not just into a dance, but into a new life. But amid the laughter and twirling fabric, something deeper was brewing. What consequences lay ahead for choosing connection over comfort? Would they face backlash, or would they inspire change? The thrill of the dance was just the beginning. As they moved together, a new chapter stretched before them, bright and uncertain. Elijah could feel it. The world around them might not stand still, but he was ready to write his own story. And then, suddenly, the lights flickered, and a hush fell over the crowd. A shadowy figure stepped forward, holding a gleaming microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," the voice boomed, bringing new attention. "We have a surprise tonight, and you won't want to miss it." Elijah squinted through the dim lighting, trying to make sense of the figure approaching the stage. The tension was palpable, and for a moment, he forgot all about the swirling joy of dancing with Maria. The sudden spotlight felt blinding, yet beneath it, something electric and loaded with expectation crackled in the air. The man on stage cleared his throat, his presence commanding as the crowd quieted down. "Tonight marks more than just a gala. It's a celebration of unexpected connections," he announced, his voice booming as he scanned the room. "And we have an extraordinary story to share, one that underscores the power of resilience and love." Elijah could feel the weight of those words as they sank into him, resonating through his being. He exchanged glances with Maria, who was wearing an expression that perfectly mirrored both curiosity and concern. The spotlight flickered off the microphone, casting a glint that danced along the walls, illuminating hope and uncertainty. "What story?" he whispered to Maria, his heart now racing faster than before. If sensing his question, the figure continued. "I want to introduce you to someone who embodies transformation against all odds. Someone who chose courage over comfort. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Celia, the housekeeper who changed our perspective on life." Gasps filled the hall as a woman stepped forth, her posture confident and grace evident. Celia's unassuming attire contrasted sharply with the lavish gowns around her, yet there was something about her that drew even the most cynical eyes. As she approached the microphone, her smile lit up the room. "Thank you. I never imagined I'd stand here," Celia began, her voice warm yet firm. "It's true. I've spent years cleaning up after others, but what remains hidden is how each of us carries burdens they think no one can see." Elijah's heart sank again. Burdens. He knew that too well. He could almost feel the doubts creeping back in, whispering about how his own life had once felt contained, limited by others' perceptions. Celia continued, "For years, I've watched from the sidelines. I've been the invisible hand, but tonight I'm claiming my voice. She paused, letting her words hang in the air, igniting emotions around the room. Elijah felt fired up. This woman was opening up a rawness that shook Elijah from his stupor. Maybe tonight could be more than just a dance. It could be a leap into something extraordinary. Suddenly, the mood shifted back to the socialite's judgment. As Celia's story rolled forward filled with personal anecdotes and powerful revelations, Elijah sensed the bubbling undercurrent of doubt surge anew, visibly spreading across some guests' faces. Maria squeezed his hand, noticing his stiff posture. "Hey," she said softly, reassuringly. "Focus on her. She asked, speaking your truth." "Is she really?" he replied, his gaze fixated on Celia's strength. "Can anyone understand? Can love break barriers?" The crowd erupted into applause as Celia finished, leaving a whirlwind of disbelief and admiration hanging in the air. Elijah's mind raced, heart pounding. The world was wide open and filled with risks. Could he aspire for change, too? Could he dare to shift perceptions not only of his life, but of others around him? "Maybe I could use my voice after all," he thought. But before he could settle on that thought, the speaker raised a finger, calling for quiet once more. "And in my trepidation, there's something I must reveal," he said, an air of gravity sweeping over him. "You see, Celia is more than just a housekeeper. She has a secret that might connect more than just herself to this gala." Elijah's breath caught in his throat. A secret? What lay beneath the fabric of Celia's ordinary life? As questions cascaded through his mind, he felt a pull deep inside. What if this was the turning point he had been yearning for? He turned to Maria, finding a mirror of his excitement and anxieties in her gaze. "Are you ready?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "More than ever," he replied, a fire igniting his resolve. All eyes were on Celia, the promise of something transformative hanging in the air like the chandeliers above. But what was the secret that could shake the foundations of their intertwined worlds? Would it be the key to Elijah's freedom, or a door to unforeseen challenges? As the crowd leaned in, breathless with anticipation, he couldn't help but feel the thrill of the unknown waiting just beyond the horizon. Celia took a moment as her heart raced, feeling the weight of the crowd's expectant gaze. It was as if every soul in that room hung on her next words, and she began to feel the power of her own voice. She glanced down, absorbing the moment, remembering years of scrubbing floors and gathering discarded dreams. "I was just a girl from a small town," she began, her voice breaking slightly, "with big dreams that I buried under the mop and broom." The crowd shifted, some leaning in, others whispering to one another. But life can surprise you. In every corner of struggle, there's a lesson, a treasure waiting to be uncovered. Elijah felt the ripple of hope in her words. She wasn't just another story. She was offering a glimpse into his own tumultuous journey. Maria nudged him, eyes filled with encouragement, urging him to stay engaged. 5 years ago, Celia continued, her tone gaining strength, I discovered what resilience really meant. I didn't just manage a home. I learned to create one first for the people I worked for, and eventually for myself. It took a defining moment to ignite my courage and show me my worth. The room resonated with a murmur, voices stirring with intrigue. Celia's confidence was intoxicating, painting a picture of not just hardship, but transformation. Just last year, I found myself at my lowest point, orphaned and alone. I was afraid I felt invisible. But through that darkness, I realized I needed to reclaim my story. I started volunteering at local shelters, helping others who felt like I once did, lost. As she spoke, Elijah's pulse quickened. Could he, too, reclaim his story? Her vulnerability echoed fiercely within him. Could he step out of the shadows and face the life he kept avoiding? I've typed my dreams out on paper, she shared, a gleam of defiance sparking her eyes. I wrote down what I wanted for my future, every hope, every fear. And here I am, standing before you, challenging the perception that we are defined by our means. The applause that followed was thunderous, yet Elijah found himself caught in a whirlwind of emotion. Did he have dreams he had buried, tucked away because of fear or shame? Celia had put hers into words, and now they might just take flight. The speaker on stage interjected once more, reeling the crowd back into focus. It's not merely Celia's journey we celebrate tonight. We're here to unveil the connections that thread through us all. And what Celia reveals today is a part of a much larger tapestry. With those words, the tension mounted. Was this about to spiral beyond just Celia's personal transformation? The speaker gestured toward a large canvas draped at the back of the stage. Let me show you the collective mural of resilience we've been painting together. Elijah's heart raced. A mural? The notion of unveiling something profound captured his imagination. He turned to Maria, the anticipation mirrored in her eyes. What do you think is coming next? He asked, excitement spilling from him. I don't know, but I feel it's going to change everything, she replied, biting her lip, eyes gleaming with possibilities. The speaker and Celia collaborated to unveil the canvas, revealing a magnificent work of art filled with faces and stories of those who had struggled. Elijah processed the scenes, each stroke, a life transformed. Hope resonated as the applause began again. Celia smiled, radiating warmth like sunlight breaking through clouds. Let this mural serve as a reminder, she said. Each of you can step out of the shadows and find your own courage. But as Elijah's heart soared, he sensed that this was just a doorway to something greater. Questions swirled through him. Could he truly bring his voice into the world? The speaker raised his voice, and now, about the link between Celia and the gala, Elijah leaned in, almost lost in the tide of emotions rushing through him. What did that link mean? Would it bring him peace, or would it open a new chapter filled with risks and revelations that could change everything? His thoughts raced as the moment hung like a ripe fruit ready to be plucked. What awaited on the other side of this reveal? The air shimmered with possibility, leaving the crowd on the edge, just as he found himself. As the speaker paused for effect, the room grew still. The anticipation was palpable. Every breath felt like a shared heartbeat, waiting for the next note in this unfolding symphony of life. Tonight, we celebrate not just individual triumphs, the speaker continued, but how they weave into something larger than ourselves. He gestured to the mural, where countless faces seemed to whisper stories of struggle and strength. Celia's story is a spark that ignited a movement of hope and connection. Elijah could hardly process how deeply this moment touched him. He had always felt like an outsider in his own life. But here in this room of shared stories, he sensed a thread pulling him closer to others, pulling him toward a truth he had long buried. Tonight, we share that link, the speaker said, running his hand over the beautiful artwork. Each of you has played a part in this tapestry, and as we unveil our collective goals, we acknowledge that no one does this alone. Maria squeezed Elijah's hand, her excitement electrifying. What if it's something big? She whispered. He could see her own dreams budding, yearning to break free. The speaker beckoned to the stage crew, who rolled a massive sheet of canvas onto the stage. Underneath were shadowy outlines of what appeared to be words, still obscured from view. This, he said, gesturing to the gray shapes, is our collaborative promise, a pledge to support each other in our journeys. Not just for tonight, but for the future. Elijah felt a flicker of anxiety. He wanted to be a part of that promise, but felt so far from the dreams he had yet to voice. What could he pledge when he had spent years listening instead of speaking up? With a flourish, the sheet was pulled back, revealing a tapestry of signatures, names, dreams, and hopes written in a colorful array. Every person here has added their unique touch to this, the speaker said. You've shared your stories, your resilience, and we invite each of you to make your mark here tonight. Elijah's breath hitched. Could this be a moment where he, too, could add something meaningful? The idea of sharing his own struggle, his desires, made his stomach twist. What if he stepped forward and failed? But just then, Celia stepped back into the spotlight. This mural represents more than signatures. It captures our dreams collectively. Her voice rang out, infectious with heat and urgency. So tonight, I dare you all to be brave. The tension in the room shifted dramatically, a swell of encouragement rising like the tide. People began to stand, ready to add their names and pledges. One by one, they stepped forward, with Celia's radiant energy guiding them. Elijah remained glued to his seat, the surge of courage and fear fighting inside him. He watched as tears glistened in the eyes of those who stepped forward to claim their space, their voices breaking barriers one signature at a time. Simon, Elijah, Maria whispered, nudging him. This is our chance. This is your chance. He turned to her, searching for reassurances in her hopeful eyes. Yet, doubts lingered. What if his story was meaningless compared to theirs? But then he saw Celia again, how she stood tall and proud, a warrior of truth fighting against the shadows. Her struggles, his struggles, were echoes of a shared humanity, a reflection of the fears they all held close. As the whispers stirred, a voice within him nudged, urging him to rise. His heart raced as he stood, a fear he couldn't ignore pushing him to move forward. What do I say? He thought, feeling the warmth of the crowd's encouragement washing over him. Just speak, Maria murmured, her faith in him a buoy against the tide of self-doubt. But just as he felt he would open his mouth, the speaker's voice stopped him short. And now, we want to invite the final connection, the unexpected twist that binds our journey together. Elijah felt his heart drop. His moment was slipping away. Who or what was this final connection? Would it help him find his voice, or further entangle him in uncertainty? The crowd leaned in, breath held like the world was on pause. There was no turning back. Something big was about to unfold. Would he have the courage to seize the moment, or let it slip through his fingers? Elijah felt the weight of the moment hang in the air, like a held breath before a dive into the unknown. The collective anticipation around him surged, a wave of hopeful energy that he could almost see shimmering in the light. As the speaker paused, the silence grew heavy. People shifted in their seats, some whispering amongst themselves, others clutching hands or wiping away tears. All eyes turned towards the stage, where a final surprise was about to ignite the flames of their shared journey. Finally, the speaker drew a deep breath, his voice resonating as he revealed, "Our final connection tonight is someone who has walked the very paths we each tread, someone whose commitment to community brought us all together." With a gesture of his hand, he made way for a special guest to emerge. Elijah felt a flutter of nerves. He yearned to meet this person, but anxiety twisted in his stomach like a knot. He grasped Maria's hand tighter, drawing strength from her closeness. The crowd's attention shifted, and Elijah found himself straining to see who would step into the spotlight. And then, as if riding on a current of collective energy, an older woman with kind eyes and a warm smile stepped out from the shadows. Elena, the founder of the very organization that Celia had spotlighted, took center stage. Her presence was grounding, yet somehow ethereal. "Elena," someone in the crowd called out, breaking the momentary tension. The applause that erupted was thunderous, reverberating through Elijah's core. He felt himself being swept up in the collective admiration. Elena raised her hands gently, acknowledging the room with a wave. "Thank you. Thank you so much." Her voice was rich, layered with the wisdom of her years. "I am here tonight to share a piece of my journey, much like each of you will do tonight," she continued, her eyes glistening with emotion as she spoke. Elijah felt his heart begin to swell. She talked of the struggles she faced while building her project from scratch, of the nights spent crying and the children she once thought she couldn't save. But more than her struggles, she spoke of the victories and connections she found along the way. "When I first began this work," Elena said, her tone unwavering, "I was scared. I doubted my ability to make a difference. I worried I wasn't enough. And guess what? I was terrified to share my story, but it was only when I did that I found my strength and the strength of others." A ripple of understanding moved through the crowd. Elijah's breath hitched again. Could it really be that vulnerability could also be a strength? Each word she spoke seemed to unlock another door inside him, revealing hidden corridors filled with his own untold stories. Elena continued, "Every time we share, we inspire. Your stories matter. They create ripples. They build bridges." Her voice quaked slightly, filled with emotion, and Elijah knew she meant every word. Tonight offers us a chance to stand together in our truth. As more people joined her on stage, some with tears running down their cheeks, Elijah felt the urgency to step forward, to finally break free from the constraints he had placed on himself. Would he join them? Could he, too, be brave enough to share his truth? His feet felt heavy, yet a thrill raced through his veins. With each signature that the crowd was writing into the tapestry, a voice inside him grew louder, a tether forming to the shared dreams unfolding before him. Just as he gathered the courage to move, something unexpected happened. A slight commotion from the back of the room drew everyone's attention. Elijah's pulse quickened, adrenaline cascading through him. What could pull them away from this moment? Could it shift everything for him yet again? His heart pounded wildly as he turned to face the disturbance, the thrill of possibility in the air mingling with the lingering uncertainty of his own voice yet to be heard. Elijah turned, his heart racing as he scanned the crowd for the source of the commotion. A young man stood at the back, his arms thrown up in frustration. It was Jason, a familiar face, someone Elijah didn't expect to see here. Jason was known for his intensity, often being the loudest voice in any room. But tonight, the buzz of the crowd drowned him out. "Let me through," Jason shouted, pushing past seats, his face crimson with urgency. The murmurs intensified, a mix of curiosity and concern rippling through the audience. Elijah's stomach twisted. He had seen Jason struggle lately, caught in the currents of his own ambition and despair. As Jason strode forward, Elijah felt the weight of his own fear. The vulnerability Elena had talked about earlier swirled around him. It urged him to speak, but also held him back. What if Jason's disruptions derailed the evening? Elena stood calmly, her gaze fixed on Jason, full of compassion. She seemed unaffected by the interruptions, as if she understood that sometimes truth demanded to be heard, even in the most chaotic moments. "Jason, what is going on?" she asked gently, her voice cutting through the tension like a warm light. He took a breath, wild-eyed. I had a moment, a realization," he stammered. "Tonight is about sharing our truths, right? But how can I do that when I feel like I'm drowning in my own lies?" Elijah felt a jolt. Jason's words hit home. The shame of holding back his own struggles rushed forward in a wave. Others around him were nodding, drawn in by Jason's raw honesty. Perhaps this was the very moment that the speaker had wanted to capture a collective truth where emotions didn't hide. "Jason, you're not alone. This is why we're here," Elena replied, encouragement radiating from her. A mix of despair and hope danced across Jason's face. "It's just, I put up these walls. I thought I could handle everything alone, but it's suffocating me." He looked at the audience, desperation leaking into every word. "I need help." Elijah's breath caught. This wasn't just about Jason anymore. The atmosphere shifted. Every person in the room now faced their own walls. Could he embrace the courage swirling within him? Or would he let fear keep him silent? Many around Jason began to lean in, offering words of support. "You've got this," someone urged from the back, while another shouted, "We're all in this together." The room buzzed with energy, becoming not just an audience, but a community vibrating with shared vulnerabilities. Elijah thought about sharing. Could he step forward? Just then, a woman in the crowd stood up, her expression fierce yet vulnerable. "I felt trapped too," she exclaimed. "I thought I had to face my struggles in isolation. But tonight, I feel connected to all of you." At the sound of her voice, Elijah's heart raced again. Could it be this easy? The moment lifted him, feeling like the tide was pushing him closer to the shore of his own truth. He looked at Maria, who nodded encouragingly, her grip on his hand reassuring. Elena had established this space. Perhaps it was now or never. He took a deep breath, filling his lungs with the hope in the room. Maybe if I shared my truth, others would feel safe doing the same, he thought. But just as he shifted forward, his pulse quickened again. A loud crash echoed from somewhere backstage, followed by an urgent whisper from someone in a dark corner of the room. "Get back. The power is about to go out." Elijah froze. What if this unexpected chaos swallowed their moment? What if he lost this chance? Would he ever find his voice amid this turmoil? His heart drummed wildly in his chest. The stillness before the storm cloaked the room once more. Would they rise to the occasion together? Or would darkness plunge them into silence? As chaos spread, Elijah thought, is this really how it ends? Elijah's heart thundered in his ears, drowning out the sounds of chaos. The dimming lights flickered, casting eerie shadows across the faces in the room. Panic bubbled just beneath the surface, a collective anxiety shared by everyone in the audience. It felt like a vital moment could slip away, vanishing like the light around them. "Stay calm." Elena's voice rang out, a beacon of authority amidst the rising panic. It cut through the fear like a knife, commanding attention. Elijah watched as she stepped forward, her presence burning bright against the growing gloom. "We can face this together." Jason stood rooted in place, eyes wide. The audience turned as one, their attention drawn to the strong figure of Elena who embodied hope despite the uncertainty. Her strength seemed to radiate from her, catching everyone off guard, including Elijah. Suddenly, the room was plunged into darkness. A shocked silence enveloped them, only to be followed by an anxious murmur. The absence of light felt suffocating, thickening the air. Elijah squinted, trying to catch a glimpse. Were others feeling it, too? How would they carry on? Keep talking, Jason urged, his voice trembling but loud. Don't let fear silence us now. Elijah's pulse quickened. It was as if each heartbeat echoed Jason's plea. The truth resonated. Fear could grip even the strongest, but vulnerability? Vulnerability offered a fragile strength they could cling to together. Let us share them. A voice shouted from the back. Tell your truth, don't let the darkness win. Silence loomed again, but then more voices began to rise, harmonizing in a strange symphony of courage. One by one, people began to share their stories. The darkness became a canvas for their voices, painting raw emotions across the shadows. I've been afraid too, a woman confessed in a shaky voice, the worry palpable in the air. Afraid of losing everything, afraid to fail. She took a deep breath. But I won't hide from that fear anymore. Elijah felt sweat beading on his forehead as another voice emerged, a man he'd seen in the crowd. I lost my job and thought I had nothing left. But turning to friends, sharing it saved me. It pulled me back from the edge. Each story was a thread, woven together tighter with every shared confession. Elijah listened, feeling the room transform into something powerful. Courage ignited hope. The darkness couldn't smother that. Jason's voice broke through again, filled with emotion. We're all afraid. It's okay. But we can't let that fear control us. We choose to be brave together. We choose to be brave, echoed back from the crowd, voices intertwining, lifting each other as a wave of unity surged through the space. Elijah swallowed hard. The knot in his throat combined with tears he didn't realize were building. He was moved. The power was shifting, not from the lights but from the hearts and souls in this room. Could he find his own truth amidst this rising tide? In that moment, the worries, the doubt, and all the walls he had built began to chip away. He had a story, too, one that mattered. The passion in the voices surrounding him pushed him further. Maybe now is the time for the first time. The thought of stepping forward didn't frighten him. But just as he took a step, the door burst open. A group of people spilled into the room, breathless, eyes wide with fear. The fire alarm is going off. We need to get out now. Panic threatened to take hold again, and Elijah's heart sank. Was this the end of their breakthrough? Was it all slipping away just as he was ready to embrace his truth? He hesitated, torn between safety and, for the first time, the overwhelming need to speak. What would he choose? Would he risk everything he had discovered, or would he allow fear to drag him back into silence? Elijah felt the weight of the room shift again as the urgent voices of the newcomers echoed off the walls, creeping back into the corners of his mind. He stood frozen, fear twisting within him. But there was something else, something brighter, trying to break through the darkness. Get out. Now. One of the newcomers shouted again, urgency lacing his words. The lights might be out, but their presence cleared a path of chaos, and a wave of restlessness surged through the audience. Elijah could see the panic on Jason's face, the way he moved to comfort a woman near the door who looked pale and frightened. But what about the stories? This connection they had built in the dark, would it be lost forever in a scramble for safety? The breakthrough that felt so close was slipping through his fingers, and the yearning to speak, to share, pulled at him like a magnet. Elena, standing near the front, raised her voice above the panic, firm and steady. Everyone, calm down. We'll get out. Her words sliced through the chaos again. But we need to stick together. Let us move as one, hand in hand. No one gets left behind. Tension rippled through the audience as they turned toward her, a flicker of reassurance illuminating the uncertainty in many faces. Elijah felt his heart thumping wildly. Would they follow her lead? Would they run and abandon the moment that held so much promise? The sounds of the fire alarm blared on relentlessly, but beneath it, he could hear the heartbeat of determination rising in the crowd. Voices grew louder. A chorus of hesitant agreement began to form. Together. Someone shouted, and it struck a chord, echoing back from different corners of the room. Then, the unexpected happened. A wave of hands shot up, and Elijah held on to that spark, people signaling each other, finding strength together. Knees trembling, his heart urging him forward, Elijah took a deep breath. Stop. It came out louder than he planned, but it cut through the panic, pulling at their attention. I know it's hard, but we can't lose what we just started. The words spilled out, raw and unfiltered, pushing him forward. If we run, we might never get to be this brave again. Silence hung for a moment, the weight of his voice creating an echo in the stillness, overshadowing the alarm. Faces turned toward him, some wide-eyed, others nodding slowly. We are more than fear. We're more than this moment. We just shared our hearts. He could see the glisten of realization dawning in their eyes. They were all clinging to something, a truth too important to abandon. A woman near the front wiped tears from her cheeks, and that small gesture ignited something deep in him. Let us not just escape, let us embrace. Take this courage with us. Elijah's voice trembled slightly, but he pushed past his fear. If we leave without being who we are, it means nothing. We're stronger together. One by one, people began to nod, murmurs of agreement peppering the air. Feelings of panic shifted into determination, rallying a force that had fled moments before. But then again, the door into darkness threatened to yank the light from the moment. A flicker of movement drew attention, as someone burst through, breathless and trembling. The fire's spreading. We have to move now. Just as they needed to rally together, they were being forced apart. Elijah's heart raced again. This was the choice he'd been wrestling with. Would he lead them to find their strength in the chaos? Or would fear sweep him away again like a wave, drowning out all hope? Elijah faced the room, breaths mingling with uncertainty. What would he choose to do when every instinct urged him to flee? Elijah felt the room tense as chaos danced at the edges of the crowd. The fire alarm blared a relentless warning, but beneath that, something else crackled in the air, the electricity of connection, of shared vulnerability. He locked eyes with Maria, who stood firm, a beacon of light amidst the uncertain shadows. Her unwavering belief in him fueled his courage, igniting a fire within him that felt impossible to extinguish. Everyone, Elijah shouted, his voice cutting through the noise with a force he didn't know he possessed. We can't retreat now. We've just shared our truths. We're stronger than any fear or flame. Each word resonated, rippling through the crowd like a shockwave. He watched as people turned to him, faces reflecting a mixture of surprise and resolve. Together, someone shouted from the back, and a wave of agreement washed over the room. Together, echoed back, sparking a sense of unity that surged through Elijah like adrenaline. This movement, this moment of honesty can't be extinguished, he continued, feeling strength pulse through him. We owe it to ourselves to carry this light forward, no matter what happens. His heart beat fiercely as he spoke, and the room appeared to come alive with energy. Don't let fear dictate your path. He glanced at Jason, who nodded, eyes filled with newfound purpose. We are all afraid, yes. But tonight, we've begun to build something beautiful. Let us not let panic dissolve our bravery. The shift in energy was palpable. People were starting to openly gather around him, each one contributing to the swell of hope. Elena stepped forward, reaching out to connect with people, her strength radiating as she called for calm. Everyone, we are not alone. Fear thrives on isolation. Each one of us has a role in this story. Let us create a chain of support, a symbol of our journey together. A chorus of voices filled the air, intertwining with determination. Hands gripped each other, forming an unbroken circle where fear had once reigned. With every heartbeat, the warmth of their solidarity intensified, as if every pulse echoed, "We'll stand together." And then it happened, a spirit of unity swelled in the room. Elijah felt it surge through him like a tidal wave. It connected each person in that frantic space, lifting them up, giving them strength. Let us go for our stories, for those who didn't feel they could share theirs. Let us move as one. Elijah's voice rang out, a rallying cry for courage, echoing with the resonance of shared truth. That he shifted in his wheelchair, gripping the arms with urgency. Maria stepped beside him, her eyes glimmering with belief. "I'm with you," she said, a lifeline tossed amidst the turmoil. Elijah nodded towards Jason. "Follow us. We're breaking free together, no matter what awaits outside. Jason took a step forward, and that seemed to ignite even more souls behind them. One after another, others began to move, trusting that the strength they had built in those moments would guide them into the chaos beyond. With Elena leading the charge, they rolled toward the nearest exit, a determined pulse flowing through them. The crowd followed suit, feeling emboldened, their panic morphing into resolution. Moments that threatened to drown them in fear were transformed into a beacon that illuminated the path out. As they reached the doorway, there was a rush of cool air, and the fire alarm's wailing fell to a muted background. Outside, the night sky opened up, stars blinking down like witness to this important turning point. Elijah gazed around him, feeling the weight of every person standing together. Friendships strengthened, vulnerabilities exposed, hearts opened to possibility. "Look," Maria exclaimed, pointing up into the starry expanse. "It's beautiful." Elijah looked too, and suddenly, he felt airborne. In the midst of all the former hurt, the shadows, the pain, there was liberation, a joy that filled his lungs and made him feel lighter than he ever remembered. "We did it," he called out, laughter bubbling from deep inside. "We're free." And as the crowd cheered, a wave of triumph surged. Through Elijah, he had finally found his voice, not just for himself, but for everyone who feared stepping out of the shadows alone. Their collective strength shined brighter than the darkest moments of their journey. Tonight, he didn't just leave a gala. He stepped into a new chapter of life, a vibrant narrative filled with vitality and connection, woven together through shared stories and newfound courage. A world that once felt so constricted was now bursting with possibility. Elijah smiled, warmth flooding his heart as Maria squeezed his hand. "This is just the beginning," she whispered, her eyes sparkling with dreams yet to unfold. Together, he breathed, knowing that they had only begun to write their own stories, brave enough to embrace every chapter life had in store. And they would face it all together. Now, this is your turn to take action. You need to subscribe now to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like right away to fuel the algorithm and show your support. Your engagement matters. Comment below about your reactions and feelings from this incredible ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support can change lives.